In this video clip, I want to show you how I would deal with the vocabulary for this chapter or for any chapter. One of the very nice features of your textbook, in my opinion, is this list of words. They're giving you the vocabulary that you need to know to understand this chapter. So I'm guessing that they will use this vocabulary on a test. So I definitely would spend some time getting to know this list of words. And this is how I would do it, but there are lots of ways. This is just a suggestion. I would go to the vocabulary section of my notebook and I would use flashcards. Now, I used post-it notes a lot when I was doing this kind of thing. You can also use index cards. You can use strips of paper where you write the word on one side, the definition on the other. I think that's a wonderful way of doing it. But this is a way that worked for me, and I wanted to share it with you. And I do use color to help me with this, but you can certainly organize it however it makes sense to you. So I'm looking here at page, I believe it's 687 of the textbook, and I'm going to start with this first term and show you how I would work this. I'm going to use a color here for this first term, and let me get a pen that will write. The term is anastomosis. So I would write it correctly. And then I personally like to break the word into syllables, especially when the word is this long. So we have nas, to, mo, sis. Anastomosis. That is a 5-syllable word. Each syllable must have a vowel. This indicates a long vowel. There's an sound, an I sound, an again. I call that schwa, but they're marking it a little bit differently. It doesn't matter. Just take the time to learn to spell and pronounce the word. You can Google these kinds of things if you need to know how to pronounce them. YouTube is a good source as well, but your instructors are a very good source of that info. Okay, the next word that I come to, I'm going to put on another color. I'm going to use colectomy. Now, as soon as I see that, I think of colon, just because of the spelling. Me, colectomy. This is a 4-syllable word. And then my eye jumps down to the bottom of that list of words, and I see something that interests me. I see the word hemicolectomy. So let me just start over here. But I know from living life that hemi means half. Hemispheres, half of the earth. The brain is divided into hemispheres or halves. And then I also can see that that word colectomy that I just broke down is used again right here. So I can tell that these two words are related, these two yellow terms, and that hemi means half. I know that just from growing up and being an adult. You may not know that, and that's okay, but take the time to learn that. And here's the pronunciation. Hemi, co, lec, to, me. Hemicolectomy. And then if I keep scrolling on over, I see another ectomy. Okay, and this one I'll have to look at to spell. It's always been a problem for me to spell it. Hemorrh. O-I-D, ectomy. So all of the ectomies I'm putting on yellow because they're related by that suffix. And then the spelling of this one, I did okay with that first syllable, but this is the one that drives me crazy. I don't think I'll ever be able to spell that. I'm not a good speller anyway, but that word is wicked. Okay, just by living life again, I know that ectomies, in my experience, are not pleasant things. A tonsillectomy, an appendectomy. When I am undergoing an ectomy, they are taking something away that I was born with. And again, that's just life knowledge. But always bring that life knowledge into these words to help you understand what they mean. Now, I am not going to continue this. You get the idea of how I make my flashcards. So I really don't need these last two. I'm just going to go ahead and delete those. But I want to show you how I used Post-it notes for this. So I need the definitions of these words. And at least some of them. I think I'm going to just get the first three, and then we'll let hemorrhoidectomy go on to another video or something. But let's start with anastomosis. Now, it tells me that I can view that word on page 700. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward to page 700. And I am not seeing that word immediately on page 700. Perhaps I'm just missing it, but let me look around here. Here it is. If you notice, that word is in bold type up there. It's toward the top of the page. And it says reconnection of the remaining intestine portions, anastomosis. So there's the definition. They've given me the definition in context. So I'm going to go ahead and write that definition up here on paper. So this is in my notebook. Reconnection of remaining tissue or remaining intestine portions. Let's just do that. Take the book's language because the test is based on the book. Okay. Now, if I roll on down to the bottom of this page, I see colectomy in context. It says colectomy is the removal of the diseased portion of the colon. So they're giving me the definition right there. And then it says the remaining ends of the colon are reattached. That's that word that we just saw, anastomosis. And then here comes hemicolectomy, is the removal of one side of the colon. So I'm just writing down these definitions as I find them. If you have trouble defining the word, I'm not sure if this book has a glossary. I haven't looked back there. But if you have trouble defining it, ask your instructor to help you get the definition. The removal of one side, there's that 1/2 of the colon. And I'm not going to define hemorrhoidectomy, although you can probably figure it out. Removal goes with ectomy. You can sort of use logic to figure out the meaning of that word. But let's move this one out of the way. We're not defining that one. And here's how I used my Post-it notes. I would take all of the Post-its off, just pull them all off in a big old stack. So I'm separating them from the definition. And then every day, at least once a day, while I was in the chapter, I would go through with my Post-its and match my definitions. So I would read the definition, reconnection of remaining intestine portions. I know that that goes with the word anastomosis. So I would match those words to the definitions. Ectomy is removal of the the diseased part of the colon. So let's bring that definition up here. And I've picked up the label from my book. Cut that out. So let's bring that up here. That matches with this definition. And then hemicolectomy is the removal of one side of the colon. So we bring that up here and place it. Practice these daily, and you will learn them. Practice them in context. Practice them while you're studying the actual text that goes with this chapter, with this material. It's much better to learn things in context. Do them all. Practice them often. And as this vocabulary section grows, you're going to have that vocabulary building that is so critical on comprehensive exams. You will be amazed at how much of this vocabulary you will remember if you take the time to learn it in chunks. This is a small set of terms compared to this entire book. Write them out, practice them, and it will stick if you practice enough.